Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live, your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution with current breaking news, culture, manic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Interesting news day. Double standards. SBF apparently he's had some more charges dropped, and also PayPal apparently they froze Graphene's accounts, which is it's just. And again, this is another testament to why Bitcoin was important. So we're going to get through all that in the news and kind of the double standards between the two systems. I think, and I'm going to connect the whole PayPal thing. And honestly, once again, this highlights the importance of Bitcoin, of having an alternative, alternative financial system that no one can censor. And also highlights the hypocrisy of people that, donate to the fiat political class. They get treated, they get, it's different standards for them. It's rules for thee, but not for me. So we're going to highlight all that today. And also we have a very special guest and someone who I consider a friend. We got into the industry around the same time. I've seen his career, explode. And, we've kind of been in the trenches together for a while. So very happy to have him today. I'm going to bring him up on stage, the one, the only, Zach Herbert. And he is the founder of, and I'm sure you guys use this hardware wallet. He's the founder of Foundation that makes the Passport. How you doing, Zach? I just want to say I got the first edition of the Passport when it came out. And I think I did an unboxing on it on my old channel.
You did. I think the first unboxing of our Passport Founders Edition a long time ago.
Yeah, man.
You go way back. Yeah, it's great to be here.
So has time flied. So anyways, I'm going to bring up my legendary co-host. He's always optimistic, always with a giant smile on his face. The one, the only, Optimus Fields. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, Nico? What's up, Zach? What's up, everyone? We're back. It is Friday. Let's go. Last show of the week, ushering everyone into the weekend. But this one's going to be special. Shouts out to our boy Shishi because he's a huge Passport fan. He literally yells at me every chance he gets to get a Passport. He dunks on me all the time. So it's been a minute, Shishi. Love you, bro. Talk soon. This show might just be for Shishi. This is definitely a Shishi Maxi show.
Should we just change the title? Like just like parentheses for Shishi.
For Shishi, exactly.
Anyways.
But yeah, man, this is going to be a good one. I'm excited. And of course, the SBF news. Actually, let's just save that before we all get too flustered and frustrated in the beginning of the show. What crazy times we live in.
100%. All right, everybody, no more delay. Let's jump straight into numbers. We got a lot to talk about. Let's check it out.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. All right, guys, I also want to tell you about the largest Bitcoin conference on planet Earth, Bitcoin 2024. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. It's not going to be in Miami this year. You want to get your tickets quickly before the price go up, and you can take advantage of the promo code simply to get yourself a 10% discount to Bitcoin 2024. I hope to see a lot of you guys there. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 29,365 sats per dollar, 3,405 block height, 800,653 blocks to having 39,347 having estimate April 20th, 2024, total Lightning Network capacity, 4,690 Bitcoin, capacity value, 137 million US dollars, realized monetary inflation, 1.76%, and the market capitalization of Bitcoin, $570 billion, Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 4.36%. My favorite two stats, I say this every day, is the realized monetary inflation, because it continues to take fiat currencies to absolute school. It's at 1.76%. That will continue to go lower. The Bitcoin versus gold market cap, that will continue to go higher, and Bitcoin stays winning. Anyways, I have a very special video for you guys today. Here's Thomas Sowell. He's written some of my favorite books on economics. I think the name of his book is called Basic Economics. Please, Opti and Zach, if you think I'm wrong, please correct me.
That's the one.
And I definitely think it's a must read. And a lot of the thing that you read there is common sense. Anyways, here's Thomas Sowell being talked about. He's being asked about the Fed, and he says something really interesting. I'm going to read the quote. It says, when someone removes a cancer, what do you replace it with? And I think that's a really good point, because that's what a lot of people say is like end the Fed. And then a lot of the kind of responses like, okay, we end the Fed, but what are you going to replace it with? I think Thomas Sowell had a great answer. Anyways, let's play the video and then we'll talk about it.
If we could make you dictator, would you abolish the Fed?
Yes.
You would.
Yes, I mean, for the reasons I just gave, the history. There's no, the Fed represented wonderful hopes, but we've had so many programs that represented wonderful hopes that ended in disaster. I don't doubt that someone who is sufficiently scholarly could come up with examples of where the Federal Reserve made things better. But the question is, overall, what was it supposed to do? It was supposed to do not only prevent bank failures, it was supposed to prevent huge changes in the money supply, in particular, great deflations.
Right.
The greatest deflation in American history occurred under the Federal Reserve System. There was a crisis in 1907. J.P. Morgan, the original J.P. Morgan, called the other bankers into a room, supposedly locked the doors, and said, "We got to do something, or we're going to all collapse." And they did something, and they didn't all collapse. But the progressives were shocked that one man could come in and take command of the situation, and especially someone who wasn't even in the government.
Right. So what would you do? You'd move us back to the gold standard, or you'd let banks issue their own currencies the way they did up through the Civil War? Say I could.
Well, they weren't doing any of those things as the time the Federal Reserve was created. We were on the gold standard though, but whether we're on or off the gold standard, that's another whole set of arguments. There's no evidence that I can see that over this vast period of time that the Federal Reserve has existed, that things on the whole have been better. The great post-World War II inflation was fed by the Federal Reserve doing exactly what they're planning to do now, namely buying up the bonds issued by the Treasury.
But what would you replace it with? How would the currency? How would the currency run?
We would replace it. We could replace it with what existed when it was created,
which was the gold standard.
Well, it may be the gold standard, but maybe not. But there's no evidence that what would you replace it things always bother me.
They do?
When someone removes a cancer, what do you replace it with?
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wow, Thomas Sowell's a legend, and I would even say that like Saifedean. So it's like Thomas Sowell, he wrote that book. I feel like that was step number one. And then Saifedean, the Bitcoin standard, number two. And then Saifedean's latest book, The Principles of Economics. And we were fortunate enough to have him on the show to talk about it. I feel like that's a step above that, because it's like, okay, what do you replace it with? I think that's a lot of people ask that question. Well, we have an answer now. I think Bitcoin, that's the answer, right? That's the obvious answer. Now we just got to get, the mainstream consciousness accepting it, really understanding that the alternative to the Federal Reserve is the separation of money and state, and it's money going back into the hands of the people. But the awesome part about Bitcoin is that no one owns it, right? So it's really like the individual Bitcoin. If you properly secure your Bitcoin by properly securing your backup wallet seed phrases, and you should do it not on paper. Put Put your backup wallet seed phrase on titanium. Get your titanium seed phrase storage kit from Stampseed. Scan the QR code on your screen right now. Don't get caught with your pants down explaining to your grandchildren that you lost your generational wealth. But anyhow, and get yourself a hardware wallet. The Jade is good. The Passport is good. The Cold Card is good. Whatever, the poison of your choice, whatever floats your boat. But definitely get a hardware wallet. Anyways, Zach, I want to get your take on this. Yeah, man. So what would you replace the Fed with?
Well, I think it's obviously Bitcoin, but I think that humans just cannot be trusted with the money supply, right? I feel like you can have one good person that is a visionary, but then you don't know who's going to replace that person when they come to power, right? And I just think humans are we're all way too short-sighted, way too selfish, right? We have our own incentives. So if we could just pull that, power away from us and put it on this, decentralized network that just does its own thing, and you can't mess with the rules, can't change the monetary supply, can't change the inflation rate or anything like that, then we can all just reform society around that system, right? And so I think that's the crux of it. Just humans, we can't be trusted.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. We need a system where it's rules without rulers. We got to trust minimize. That's exactly what we need to do. Anyways, Opti, what's your take? I know you love Sol, bro. So
yeah, that's where I was going to start. I said first, I love Thomas Sowell. Highly recommend you go watch everything you can on YouTube. And then, of course, if you still read books, go get his mammoth of a book. Definitely a must read. But I mean, to his point, and we say it all the time, I think Nico is the first one to say it in this phrase, but the Fed has failed its original mission statement. I don't know, Nico, if you know it off the top of your head what the original mission statement was, but it's obviously not working. Plus, the classic meme of the Federal Reserve isn't even federal and has no reserves. So even by its very name, it is failing, yet people still trust in this institution. But I really love the questioning from the reporter guy. What would we do without government money? How about my roads? That is my favorite messaging always. Whenever someone asks me about my roads, I'm just like, okay, here we go. I already know where the questioning is going. But of course, Thomas Sowell has a way of explaining things and making you really, really look at the issue correctly. What do you do when you eliminate the cancer? You don't replace it with another cancer, guys. Come on. This is not how healthy bodies work. So obviously, Bitcoin is the solution. I think it's something I say all the time on the show, and we talk about this constantly, whether it's on the show or on Twitter Spaces. A lot of people know what the problem is. I think most people awake can pinpoint the problem, but few people understand what the solutions are, and this is why it is Simply Bitcoin, and we come here every single day trying to explain to people what the problem is, but also give them a solution. Take your Bitcoin into self-custody, save in Bitcoin. This is the way. Run a node. Stop trusting these people with your money. Stop trusting the cabal of bankers to control the money, because I loved how Zach said it, and we constantly say it as well. You cannot trust humans with the money supply. I know we all think we're moral, virtuous, and we're better than this. But man, I swear, if we had the power to print money, I am almost convinced every single one of us would do it after a certain amount of time. Just understand how humans work. If I couldn't get caught, I'd be printing trillions as well. But hey, I don't have this privilege. I tried, you guys know I tried, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, Opti tried by dating Chrissy Lagarde. It did not work out. It did not work out. Anyways, guys, help us maintain our streak of breaking 100 likes within the first hour of the live stream. So if you're enjoying the show right now, take 2 seconds, smash that like button, smash it. And that tells the YouTube algorithm to push the orange signal. So anyways, a lot to talk about today. Let's move on to the news, gentlemen. Let's do it. Here we go.
The Daily News.
The Daily News is brought to you by Blockstream Jade, built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. It's an open source hardware wallet for the cold storage of Bitcoin. Check out the brand new limited edition color, the transparent green Jade. Blockstream Jade houses a full color camera, allowing for fully air-gapped Bitcoin transactions, scan and display QR codes directly on the device, assign transactions, and verify addresses with ease. Use your Blockstream Jade with your favorite wallet software, such as Blockstream Green, Blue Wallet, Electrum, Sparrow. Get yourself a Blockstream J today and take self-custody of your Bitcoin. All right, guys, I also want to give a shout out to the Orange Pill app. There will be a time in the non too distant future where the most sought after demographic will be Bitcoiners, principled, devoted, patient, diverse, and loyal individuals who are the wealthiest single demographic. It might be worth it for you to build as many Bitcoin connections as while you still can. What's the best way to meet other Bitcoiners in real life? The Orange Pill app. The Orange Pill app is building the social layer for Bitcoin. The Bitcoin circular economy is coming, and this is where it starts. If you scan the QR codes on your screen right now, you'll get 10,000 sats for signing up. And also Opti and I appreciate all the messages and love that we're getting on the Orange Pill app. So scan the QR code on your screen right now. Anyways, let's cover today's news. Prosecutors drop, and there's an article from the New York Times. You know, the same New York Times that came out with the propaganda hit piece where they changed the color in the sky, tried to demonize Bitcoin mining. Anyways, that New York Times. So check out this article. Prosecutors drop campaign finance charge against SBF. Goes on to say, federal prosecutors pursuing the criminal case against the cryptocurrency mogul SBF said on Wednesday that they were dropping a charge that he violated campaign finance rules. Mr. Bankman-Fried was charged with fraud and campaign finance violations in December after the sudden collapse of his company, the crypto exchange FTX. He was quickly extradited to the United States from the Bahamas, where FTX was based. But in a court filing on Wednesday night, the prosecutors said that the Bahamas had informed them that the nation's government had not intended to extradite Mr. Bankman-Fried on campaign finance charge. Quote, in keeping with its treaty obligation to the Bahamas, the government does not intend to proceed to trial on the campaign contributions count. The removal of the charge is a victory for Mr. Bankman-Fried's legal team, which has argued that the United States mishandled the extradition process. And it follows the prosecutor's decision in June to proceed to a trial in October without pursuing 5 other charges. So this is more charges that they have dropped that were added to Mr. Bankman-Fried's indictment in the weeks after his extradition. In total, Mr. Bankman-Fried is now set to face 7 charges at his trial in October, including accusations that he defrauded customers and lenders of FTX. Prosecutors have argued that he orchestrated a sweeping fraud, siphoning billions of dollars that customers had deposited with FTX to finance campaign contributions, charitable donations, and real estate purchases. And this is exactly why you should take self-custody. Prosecutors are planning a second trial on the 5 charges that were withdrawn in June, including an accusation that Mr. Bankman-Fried bribed a foreign government. They said that they had to postpone a trial on those counts while litigation over the extradition unfolded in the Bahamas. Now, here's the thing, right? Right now, let's see what happens. But if he is convicted on securities fraud and wired fraud, SBF is going to face several dozen years in prison. Now, the reason that I'm kind of, skeptical about that is he's already had a bunch of charges dropped. And also he not only did he donate it to the Democratic Party, which is currently, in power and in charge of the executive branch of government here in the US, but he also donated to the Republican Party as well. It's just interesting. Wouldn't you say that's a form of bribery, I guess? Anyways, so I really want to compare the double standards, right? So SBF, he actually did financial harm to countless Americans, countless people all over the world, used that money to buy property, some parties apparently that he was doing in his penthouse, and all this crazy stuff. But let's talk about Julian Assange. Julian Assange did no such thing. Julian Assange basically exposed some things that the U.S. government was doing in Iraq, and he did not get no bail. SBF did get some bail, and the whole extradition thing that's happening over there is they're treating it a little bit different than SBF. And maybe it's because Julian Assange didn't donate to the politicians. Maybe it's because Julian Assange made the politicians look bad. I don't know. That's my 2 cents. Anyways, so Julian Assange is the founder of WikiLeaks. And it's interesting, and I'm going to kind of go back into the early days of Bitcoin's history. PayPal froze WikiLeaks. And I'm going to connect it to some PayPal news that dropped recently. And when PayPal froze WikiLeaks, WikiLeaks actually decided to integrate Bitcoin into their platform. And Satoshi even had a quote when this happened. Satoshi said, "It would have been nice to get this attention in other contexts. WikiLeaks has kicked the hornet's nest and the swarm is headed towards us." And this is one of the last things that Satoshi said before he disappeared. And I think this really highlights the necessity of having an alternative system. Now, what happened with PayPal recently? PayPal shut down Graphene Foundation's account used for donations. It goes on to say, "Unfortunately, PayPal permanently locked our Graphene Foundation account today. No reasons have been provided for the account being locked. All we've done is accept donations." Now, Graphene is an alternative to Android, and it's an alternative that that values privacy a lot more. So it's just interesting, right? It's a lot of coincidences, right? PayPal shuts down WikiLeaks, PayPal shuts down Graphene, Julian Assange gets arrested, no bail for him, hardcore extradition, the extradition appeal got denied, bringing him back to the United States to stand trial. SBF, not only did he get released on bail, he gets charges dropped, even though he caused monetary harm to thousands of people. But hey, but he donated to politicians, I guess. So maybe that, that's maybe, I don't know. Again, lots of coincidences. Anyways, the article goes on to say Graphene Foundation is a nonprofit organization incorporated federally in Canada. PayPal required us to provide proof of identity and addresses for each director, along with documents to have our account approved. We believe our account was shut down because we accept cryptocurrency donations, including via Monero. PayPal partially locked our account and demanded for proof of source / proof of each transaction. We provided a link. Our account was then forced closed. It goes on to say, Bitcoin can be used to donate to nonprofit Graphene Foundation. You can send Bitcoin donations to the following. And here, anyone, if you guys want to continue to donate this project, you can scan the QR code on your screen right now. So anyways, a lot of double standards. Zach, do you have any thoughts on this, man? Like, this is just crazy. I think this is just... it's rules for thee and not for me. The fiat elite class plays by a whole different set of rules. The political class plays by a whole different set of rules. The people that donate to them play by a different set of rules, and then everyone else that is trying to use alternatives. I feel like they get demonized. And mind you, do you guys remember that they arrested an open source developer in the Netherlands and they denied him bail, right? So they denied him bail, but they allowed bail for SBF, even though he defrauded billions, like millions of Americans, I would say, out of billions of dollars, which is just, it's, and then the New York Times has him on an interview, and then it's kind of like he kind of does an apology. The audience claps for him. Mr. Wonderful is like, this guy was just misguided, even though he literally stole billions of dollars. But anyone developing open source software, anyone doing, journalism that is reporting the counter official narrative gets jailed, denied bail. So man, like, if people are still kind of in denial as to why Bitcoin is necessary, like why something like Bitcoin is necessary to use and to have an alternative payment system that is not prone to these types of censorship attacks, I think you have your head in the sand. I think that you're not really paying attention to what's going on. Anyway, Zach, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I think it's so telling that Assange has been rotting in a jail cell. And SBF is just walking around. I think there were pictures of him last week walking around New York City just by himself, taking a stroll. And if you think about who the flight risk is, I mean, SBF probably has very large amounts of crypto and wallets that law enforcement doesn't know about. He could just hop on a plane or a yacht somewhere. He could just disappear. And he stole billions of dollars. He donated, I think it was, do you guys remember, was it $90 million to the Democrats? I think was something like the figure. And if you pay enough money, you just stay out of jail. It's that simple. But I think one of the scary things was that Tornado Cash developer who's been in jail without being in trial even. Think about too, the Canadian truckers who all had their financial accounts blocked, just normal people, and PayPal does have a long history of cutting off access to accounts, but not just PayPal, governments, banks. It's just so common. So it's so blatantly a scenario of you donate enough money, you can do whatever you want. Get out of jail free card, right? And I don't think this guy is gonna go to jail.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have that sentiment too, and it's unfortunate. I don't think he's gonna go to jail either. They're gonna find something's gonna happen, or he gets like a light sentence, so to speak. But again, it's rules for thee, and it's rules for thee and not for me. So, anyways, Opti, what's your take on this?
Well, I'm going to double and triple down on this one, Nico, so forgive me. Sam Bankman-Fried is a government asset. Convince me otherwise. And further, this two-tiered legal system that we all find ourselves a part of is obviously disgusting, but it's so hypocritical. And if you have friends in high places, you can get away with anything. I think we're constantly seeing this happen in the news and in the Bitcoin space, or even in the world at large. And the double standards, I think personally, is what's waking up a lot of people. I think the truth is coming out, and a lot of people are wondering, like, what is going on? Like, how do, us average people get in trouble for the most minuscule things? And yet there's people out here that are defrauding billions, and they just get to walk away with slaps on the wrists. Like, anyone that's awake, anyone that's watching this stuff has to be as angry as any one of us, truth seekers out here on Twitter. This is like all we watch is this stuff, and people get away with this crazy stuff. And it really just seems like there is a two-tiered legal justice out there. If you're not part of the Cantillon insiders, you're basically obligated to pay all the penalties, to stand by the laws. But if you are one of their friends, friends in high places, you can basically get away with murder. And, connecting all this stuff together, the deplatforming that we're seeing constantly from the I don't know, parasitic class, like I like to call it, is why people should be owning Bitcoin. I've been saying it all the time. These people are becoming more maniacal. And what's the meme, power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. And we're seeing the deplatforms accelerate, and they seem to get even more stringent. Like, literally, it's dystopian 1984 type stuff. If you are not following the party line, they will kick you off the banks. Like, they will kick you off the monetary system, and you don't have to take this abuse. Like, save in Bitcoin, use Bitcoin, be a part of the Bitcoin circular economy. If you are a business, an online e-commerce business, then, you should be thinking about rolling out your own payment stack like BTC Pay, because you can avoid all this stuff. And again, this is back to what we say all the time. People know what the problems are, and people see the abuse, and yet they just think that there's no options here, that there's nothing they can do, when in reality, we have Bitcoin entrepreneurs out there like Zach and others that are creating the tools to avoid this type of abuse. Like, you don't have to just sit back and take it. There is Bitcoin, and you can opt into it today, and you don't have to deal with this kind of madness. It's just peak clown world type stuff.
How about the orb? I don't know if you guys covered WorldCoin this week, but as soon as you said 1984, right, that's what I thought of. Is you jail the open source privacy devs with any excuse that you can, and you let the guy who perpetrates one of the largest financial frauds in history, steals not just from investors, like not like a Bernie Madoff where it's only from like investors, but steals from just like, millions of normal people just using FTX. And then you celebrate the orb and you say, you support the company that wants to scan everyone's eyeballs, and airdrop them cryptocurrency, and you completely let that happen. But then you use the SEC and other government enforcement, agencies to go after, as much of the industry as possible. So, I mean, it's so blatant at this point. And that's one of the things that's been craziest to me about this WorldCoin launch too, which is like, why are they letting that launch? That is so obviously like a crypto scam airdrop. It reminds me of like the 2017 ICO thing. Like, we're going to retain 25% of the tokens for ourselves. Like, how is that possibly allowed to exist? And it's obvious, right? It's because they're collecting everyone's biometric data, and everyone's writing about it, publicizing their launch. The mainstream media loves it. It's one of the most dystopian things I've ever seen. And so it's just so blatant now. And I agree. I think people are waking up when it comes to the double standard. Maybe they're an FTX customer and they're like, what happened to my money? Why is he getting let off on these charges? Oh, wait, he donated to these people. It's going to start to connect the dots, I think, for people on a larger scale, than we ever have before.
100%. We are living through the Great Awakening, and it really falls down to everybody. Like, be the Uncle Jim in your family. Show them about Bitcoin, and then show them how to take self-custody. Show them how to run, or be the Uncle Jim. Maybe you kind of hold their hand in the process. But anyways, guys, no more delay. Let's jump into the culture. We're going to talk about Foundation and Passport today. Let's check it out. Let's do this.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today. All right, everybody. Also, I want to tell you guys about the Pacific Bitcoin Festival. It's going to be the largest Bitcoin festival on the West Coast, October 5th through the 6th, Los Angeles, California. It's going to be awesome. It's not going to be a conference this year. It's going to be a festival. Speakers include Jimmy Song, Lynn Alden, Greg Foss, Alex Gladstein, Corey Clipson, Preston Pish, and many, many more soon to be announced. You can take advantage of the promo code SIMPLY to get 21% off your tickets to the Pacific Bitcoin Festival. Anyways, today we're going to talk about Zach's company, Zach's awesome product, the Foundation, and also the app that goes along with it. Zach, what have you guys been working on lately?
Yeah, we've been doing a lot. So we have Passport. It's technically the second generation device. It's our Bitcoin hardware wallet. It's really, I think, nicely designed, extremely easy to use. I would argue we have like the easiest to use, Bitcoin hardware wallet experience of any of the devices on the market. A little bit more premium, made of premium materials, zinc alloy plated in real copper. We've got a user removable lithium ion battery right on the back. We've got a really nice high resolution color IPS display, and Passport just makes it, I think, as easy as possible to just take, sovereignty, self-custody over your Bitcoin. It's air gapped, uses a camera and QR codes primarily. It's fully open source, the hardware, the software, the firmware on the device. We also make it in the USA. We do all our manufacturing, assembly, and so on in the greater Boston area, which I'm really proud of. But then also, we have a really cool app called Envoy. So when we first launched Passport Founders Edition, which I know, Nico, you looked at a long time ago, we didn't have any app with it, right? You could use it with Blue Wallet or Sparrow or your software wallet of choice. But last year we launched Envoy, which at first was only an app that worked with Passport. It was like a mobile companion app. You can update the firmware. You could use it as a very simple software wallet. Now, though, Envoy is actually, for the last couple months, a standalone software wallet. So you can actually onboard in about 60 seconds with a self-custody mobile wallet through a tool that we call Magic Backups. It actually fully stores your seed end-to-end encrypted with iCloud Keychain or Android Auto Backup. And then it encrypts all the metadata settings and so on the wallet. Encrypts it with your seed and uploads it to Foundation server. So we don't know anything about you. We don't know who you are. Everything's over Tor. If you turn on Tor, we can't see anything. You don't even have a username, but you're able to get set up with a mobile wallet in like 60 seconds without having to write down seed words. Now, of course, you can always write down the seed words, but what we were thinking about was like, let's say we have a situation like the Canadian truckers again, where you need to onboard a lot of people to a Bitcoin mobile wallet as fast as possible, and they're completely new to Bitcoin, right? Something like writing down seed words might be more difficult for them. We figured let's get it as automatic as possible to get set up with a mobile wallet. So now you have Envoy on the mobile wallet, Envoy that connects to Passport, and we're going to be adding more really cool privacy and other features to Envoy. So next up is, I think, a really easy to use coin control implementation, which has been more of like a power user thing so far. Passport has some other great, more power user features that are much more accessible now to users, like the ability to spin up child seeds with BIP85, even Nostr key you can generate on Passport and use it in an air-gapped way with Nostr. So I think we got a lot of cool, deeply technical developments, but all bundled together in a really easy to use package. So if you have like a friend or a family member that is intimidated by the idea of taking self-custody over their Bitcoin, I think Passport is probably, I'm pretty biased, but I think Passport's the best option for them. And we even offer a optional concierge onboarding service where you get an hour with Bitcoin Q&A, who's our head of customer experience, who walks you through the entire onboarding and set up for Passport, Envoy, and any other software wallet that you want to connect to.
That's awesome, dude. And I kind of want to ask you about the app, right? The Envoy app, and Opti, if you could scroll to that. So what was your thinking about developing an app for the Passport? Like, and I'm assuming it all has to do with onboarding someone who's not very familiar with Bitcoin self-custody and basically making it very easy for them. So could you elaborate about like what your thought process was for developing an app?
Definitely. So when we started off, Passport Founders Edition, we recommended Blue Wallet because I thought that was probably the easiest app to use. It had I think most approachable to like a new Bitcoiner. But very quickly, we realized that if we want to provide like the best customer experience end to end, we have to make our own app. And this is especially applicable for new Bitcoiners or those who have their coins on an exchange and are, new to self-custody, right? You want to just walk them through, almost like hold their hand through every single step and really think deeply about the terminology that you use, the designs you use. You don't want it to feel intimidating. You don't want to use things like for example, SegWit. If you're someone who has your coins on Coinbase, you don't know what SegWit is, right? You don't know what any of these terms mean. And obviously, you want to educate people over time, but like you got to just do like the easiest possible thing. So we call Envoy like a Zen-like, Bitcoin wallet. It really has, a more minimal, streamlined set of features. So if you decide to buy a Passport and connect it with Envoy, the first thing it does is it walks you through, how to set up your PIN on Passport. It does a security check so we can actually see that, your device has not been tampered with during shipping. It checks a key stored on the chip and make sure that key matches what we installed, at the factory. So it does all that kind of setup for you in a really automatic way, just scanning a couple QR codes back and forth from your phone and your Passport. But it does it in a way where you don't have to go to your computer. You don't have to be on the web browser. You don't have to download firmware like manually. We actually ship now Passport with micro SD adapters for iOS and Android. So you just literally pop the little micro SD adapter into your phone, downloads the firmware to the SD card, which we include. You pop it into the device, you can update the firmware. So everything is as streamlined as possible. And especially having the app to do the onboarding and the firmware updates and so on, I think is, incredibly powerful. We preserve that air gap. We give you everything you need in the box. Some of the other companies like being able to sell extra accessories. The device might cost, $150 or something, but then as soon as you add on adapters, battery, SD card, all that, you're like $250. So one of the things that we did a couple months ago was we actually lowered Passport's price to $199. We were able, as we scaled up manufacturing, to save a lot of money and pass those savings back to the customer. So I think $199 is a really awesome price point because it comes with everything you need in the box, to get started.
Awesome. Yeah, man. I mean, it looks like a cell phone too. Did you guys do that on purpose?
It's fun. Yeah, we did it because like,
here, could you show it again on screen?
Yeah, I can show it on here. You can see it's pretty small compared to like an iPhone, right? It's definitely pretty small and compact, but we wanted to go with that more retro cell phone vibe because I was using Trezor, Ledger. You try to give someone a Ledger who's never used it before. You're entering your PIN in with those two little buttons. You're squinting at the screen. You get it wrong 3 times. It wipes itself. I mean, I've wanted to throw like Ledger against the wall so many times. And we've heard feedback from so many people about how difficult it is to use. So, our mantra is, Bitcoin is already difficult enough. You shouldn't have to learn how to use your hardware wallet. So you should know right when you pick this thing up, how to turn it on, how to navigate, how to enter in PIN and passphrase and anything like that. And so what's amazing about Passport is that it just works. You already know how to use it. For new users, you can focus more on, how do you use Bitcoin and how do you take self-custody and how do you properly back it up and so on. You don't have to think about, how do I enter my PIN into this, tiny screen that I have to squint at and use my two little buttons.
Yeah, I got you. No, it's definitely more human friendly, right? I would say that.
Yeah.
And then I'm just curious, like, why did you focus on? Because I feel like a lot of other manufacturers are just like, they're like, look, it doesn't need to look pretty. Like, we could just as long as it just does its basic functions, it's fine. Why did you decide to go through like the more premium feel? I remember the first edition had the copper back, and it was really, really neat. So
over here, actually, the shiny copper back in the first edition with the AAA batteries. So
yeah.
we still have the copper on the back. It's just a little bit more matte now, but we got the lithium ion battery. But look, I think for all of us early adopters in Bitcoin, I was comfortable using a cold card, right? It had all the features I needed. I don't think it was very pleasant to use, but I knew how to use it. But I think what we really all have to think about is how do we get the next wave of people onto self-custody? How do we get all those people, those millions of people that are on Coinbase? How do we get them using hardware wallets and storing their own keys? And I personally think that, and I thought when we started Foundation that the current set of tools, the state of the art, right, in hardware wallets, the Ledger, the Trezor, the Cold Card, I thought that was good for early adopters. But I didn't think it was something that, a large wave of new users could wrap their heads around. And so one of my biggest worries right now is, we still have, so much Bitcoin on exchanges. And if we have another bull market in the next year or two, we have an order of magnitude more users come in, potentially tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions of new Bitcoiners. Where are they going to store their Bitcoin? Are they going to just put it on the exchange? Because if they do, that really negates the purpose of Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is only going to have the impact on the world that we want it to have if everyone is storing it for themselves. And so you really have to agonize over the design, the user experience. We agonize over every single thing, every single piece of text, every single icon in both Envoy, our mobile app, and on Passport itself. And, I haven't really seen that approach from, the other companies in the space. And so look, the products are awesome. Other companies' products are awesome, especially those that are, fully open source. You can use them if you're more technical. You can use them in multi-sig together. You could use them with whatever software wallet you want. Like if you're really hardcore, use it with Sparrow, on desktop. But we're trying to build something for, the incoming wave of new Bitcoiners.
So walk me through the onboarding process, right? Because it's always, for example, the Ledger, you have to download Ledger Live, and then you have to put the apps on it, and then et cetera, et cetera. Some apps, some hardware wallets, it's like Bitcoin's already there. You connect it with your, with your software wallet of choice, et cetera. So what is, and you guys are obviously focusing on the easy onboarding, right? Mm-hmm. This is why you decided to, download the app and then make it look nice and make it look pretty and make it look familiar to people that are just not used to this radical idea of self-custody. So walk me through the steps. You get your foundation in the mail, you open the package. I'm sure it's really nice with the plastic and all that stuff.
It's actually really nice packaging. It's I think we probably have the best packaging in the space.
Love it. So you open the package, and then you turn on your foundation. What is the first thing that it tells you?
Literally the first thing it asks you is, do you want to set it up with Envoy, or do you want to do a advanced setup?
Okay, so let's go with the Envoy, because Envoy is clearly the easy, the more convenient way. So you click Envoy, and then what happens?
You click Envoy, it gives you a QR code where you can scan from your phone, download the Envoy app. Once you have Envoy, you can see how I have one device paired. I have a Passport paired on there. It gives you a screen. It asks if you want to set up a new passport. And literally the first thing it says is, let's make sure your passport is secure. And what's really cool about that, like I mentioned, is we're one of the only devices that have a security check, or the more technical term would be like a supply chain validation. So you click next, and you scan this QR code from Passport screen, and Passport instantly, brings in that QR code. It signs some stuff to attest that the device has not been tampered with during shipping. It sends some info back to Envoy about like what firmware version it has and so on. All this happens literally with QR scan from Passport to your phone, and then you just scan the QR codes back that's displayed on Envoy screen. And you've done the supply chain verification. You've communicated your firmware version. So Envoy will next ask you, if you want to update your firmware, if it doesn't see that you're running the latest version. Then all you have to do is type in whatever PIN you want on Passport, a 6 to 12 digit PIN. And then you get to, set up your seed word. So we give you a couple different options for that. Because we bundle in an industrial grade micro SD card when you buy Passport, one of the easiest things you can do, especially if you're not ready to write down the seed, because oftentimes if you're a new user, you might not be comfortable writing down the seed, is we do an encrypted micro SD backup directly to the card. And it encrypts everything on the device, including the seed word settings and so on, onto the card that you insert into the top of Passport. And you can be up and running in just a couple minutes with that. Now, of course, you could choose to write down the seed. You could choose to, we give you the seed card. You could choose to, put it into metal or whatever you want. But we have this really streamlined setup of mobile app download, security check. You set up your PIN, you update the firmware, and then you get your seed, set up and backed up. And then you're dropped into Envoy, and Envoy is fully paired with Passport. So you already have your Passport connected in Envoy. You actually see it in Envoy, like in the UI. I can see what firmware version it has. So Envoy will let me know if there's a new firmware update, and I'm instantly given an account called Primary on my Passport. So I could instantly start, depositing funds to my device, or I can start spending funds from my device all through Envoy and Passport. No need to download additional software. And Envoy actually asks you when you first open it if you want to connect via Tor for more privacy, which is awesome. Envoy is also, fully open source.
Okay, so the app is also open source as well.
Of course, yeah, and we even allow you to, if you have like a graphene device or Calyx, you can download directly from the F-Droid open source app store. You could download Envoy. So we try to support not only the new users, we try to always have those hardcore features for the advanced people. It's like our goal is we want you to use Passport if you're really hardcore. We want you to be comfortable with all the open source stuff and the security stuff that we've done, and support, less popular things like, running on Calyx or Graphene with F-Droid. But we also want it to be the device that, that you recommend to friends and family that might not be as hardcore as you, but it checks off all your boxes, right? For philosophical alignment, open source, security, privacy, and so on.
Yeah. We also had some questions from the audience. Let me pull it up. So DA Sales says, ask him about the backup code. And then he follows up with, it's on the same card as seed phrase. So what is that? Do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah. So basically, if you do a micro SD backup, which is what we offer by default for the easy onboarding flow, how it works is that there's a 20-digit backup code that you write down. So we have our seed words and backup code, and so it is on the same card, but it's perforated. So I just ripped it off. So now I have my backup code for my micro SD card, and I can store that separately than the seed phrase. And additionally, because it's all encrypted on the SD card, you can actually store the little backup code for your SD card in a password manager or something. It's okay if you store the backup code somewhere that's, internet connected, because the only way you're going to get your seed phrase back is if someone has physical access to the micro SD card and they have the 20-digit backup code. So it's pretty cool. It's even if someone finds this SD card, they're not going to get anything off it. It's just a random encrypted, file on there. And you need to have the backup code as well. It's a little different from how some others do it. I think Bitbox, for example, they just pop the seed onto the card in plain text, so if someone finds the card, you could just take your seed. So, there's different trade-offs to that, but I like our trade-off of having this backup code because it's so easy to enter in this 20-digit backup code and restore a full backup to Passport. What's really cool is if you're using Passport for a long time, you have multi-sig configurations on there. You've customized your settings. You have different accounts with different labels for them. All of that is backed up to the micro SD card and encrypted. So, you lose your device or something, you wipe your device. All you do is you pop that SD card in there, enter in your backup code, and everything comes back to exactly how you left it you don't have to go ahead and set it all up again.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, so from the sense that I'm getting, Zach, is that this is the perfect hardware wallet to introduce it to someone who is not comfortable with self-custody, and
Definitely.
they have not only do they have the option to to be the hardcore Bitcoin maximalists, and they know that the software, not only the software, the hardware wallet is also open source, right? So they can go down the path of, I'm writing, my 24-word seed phrase, I'm putting it on steel, and I'm going to add a 25th word type of thing. And, I'm going to use the Sparrow wallet, which I connect to my own node, and you can go down that path. And then you can also go down the path of easy onboarding, which I agree with you. And this is one of the tweets I had posted on top of my Twitter for the longest time, or pinned on top of my Twitter for the longest time, is if enough people take self-custody, that's how we win. And I think self-custody right now, and this is a harsh reality for a lot of Bitcoiners. It is not easy for a lot of people, especially if you've spent your entire life in the fiat matrix and you're transitioning to a Bitcoin standard. Once you get it, you're like, okay, it's a lot easier than opening up a bank account and sending a wire. But that transition, it's a shock. It's a culture shock, really, for lack of a better word, how to describe it, because it's like, you mean if I lose these 24 words, it's gone forever. There's no customer support, So I really love the fact that you guys are really thinking about how to onboard the masses, and that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and I don't think we're there yet. I think we still have a lot of work to do for that. But I think people don't realize how scary it can be, to set up a hardware wallet for the first time. If you're coming from an exchange or you're completely new to Bitcoin, there's just so many elements where there's like fear involved, fear about, did I back this thing up correctly? What happens if I lose it? What happens if I break it? And so on. So yeah, I think it's so important. And I think that, even though all the hardware wallet companies are kind of competing with each other, at the same time, I think each one caters to like a different audience, and I think the goal is just to get everyone on self-custody. And so what's cool too, like the way I think about Passport is it's an amazing device to start your self-custody journey with, but you can level up, right? If you want to do passphrases, if you want to connect it with Sparrow, right? If you want to connect even Envoy to your own node, you can do that. There's so many advanced things you can do to level up. So you can start simple, then you can move to the metal seed plate. You can move to the multi-sig. You can move to other software wallets. You can move to passphrases. You can move to, BIP85, being able to generate child seeds, or Nostr key. You can start with Passport as a beginner and then grow with it for your entire, Bitcoin journey. And a lot of the other devices out there, I feel like it's more like you start and it's more advanced. And that's fine, right? If you're comfortable with that, like, that's awesome, right? We don't have every feature under the sun either. We don't have like a seed XOR that Cold Card has, and so if you want like some of the really hardcore features, you might use a different device. But I think this is something that, you really, it's like, it's more simple, it's more focused, and it's really something you can grow with. And when we implement a feature, it's not going to be like we throw it in there just to throw it in there. It's going to be like very well thought out and very well executed, like BIP85, which we implemented a couple months, back. Someone is asking in the comments too about these magic backups that we have in Envoy. It's always scary when you use the term cloud. So specifically with Envoy, just for the mobile wallet side, we have the option to do this really streamlined 60-second setup for the mobile wallet. It has nothing to do with the hardware wallet or anything like that. This is the mobile wallet, the hot wallet, right? That's living on your phone. So Envoy has the ability to act as a hot wallet, have a seed stored on the secure enclave in your iOS device or your Android device. And what we do, if you want to, is you click set up with Magic Backups when you're setting up Envoy. It actually stores your seed for your hot wallet in the secure enclave on the phone. And then it uses either iCloud Keychain or Android Auto Backup to back up that seed on your other devices. So iCloud Keychain, for example, is how Apple is able to sync like your passwords and other things between your devices. It does an end-to-end encrypted sync between all of your Apple devices. And so all we do is we allow you to turn that on for Envoy. What's so cool about that is the seed is still there. The seed is still in your secure enclave on your phone. But now if you delete the app, come back to it, it actually restores the seed to the secure enclave, all end-to-end encrypted. So there's a little bit of trust because, you know, Android is open source, but like you don't really know what it's doing. iOS is not open source, right? So you're having to trust Apple that the end-to-end encryption is actually there. But for a mobile wallet, a hot wallet that you shouldn't store much money on, we actually warn you if you store more than $1,000 of Bitcoin on there, we say, hey, you probably shouldn't be putting that, you know, in a hot wallet. Like that's a lot of money to store on an internet connected device. So for small amounts of funds where you want to just get someone set up as fast as possible, I think it's really awesome. Of course, though, you can always write down your seed, you know, instead. So one of the things I like about how we're doing these backups and trying to automate it is that it's all based around seed words. We're not doing any secret sauce, anything proprietary, you know. It's all based on seed words. And so the end state ultimately is the more hardcore you get, the more you want to put your seed into something like Metal, you know, and store it yourself and learn.
Gotcha. Very, very cool, man. That's awesome. Very, very badass, guys. You can go to foundationdevices.com if you want to check out the Passport, and you can also download the app, the Envoy. Anyways, everybody, the part that you've been all waiting for, the memes. But before we get to the memes, guys, speaking of financial sovereignty, you want to take back, you want to reclaim your ownership over your money. And the way that you do that is by running your own Bitcoin node, because if you're not running your own Bitcoin node, you're using someone else's. Get yourself a Bitcoin node. This is the Nodl One. It's a full Bitcoin and Lightning node. It enables you to connect with both the Bitcoin and Lightning networks. Your Nodl acts as a backend to the most popular Bitcoin and Lightning applications you want to run. Running a personal Bitcoin node is the greatest addition you can make to your financial privacy. This is the Nodl Dojo. It's in red, and yes, that means it's faster. Run your own wallet backend with Samurai Dojo and enjoy state-of-the-art coin joining with Samurai Wallet, both straight out of your Nodl hardware. You can scan the QR code directly on your screen, and it will take you to the Nodl website. Stop using someone else's node. Use your own. Anyways, everybody, no more delay. Let's jump straight into the memes. Let's do it.
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Kaboomracks. I get this question all the time. Nico, where should I buy Bitcoin miners? The answer is Kaboomracks. It's the best place to buy Bitcoin miners. That's where you're going to find the best deals and the best prices. Start your mining utopia today. To check out their racks, you got to go to t.me/Kaboomracks. Join their Telegram group and start your mining journey today. Kaboomracks. Kaboomracks. You know, I saw Alex at the mining conference yesterday. I saw the Kaboomracks guys.
Okay, yeah. Shout out to Alex.
I just kept stealing their stickers and just putting it on Alex's back.
Yeah, that's what he does to me every time. Anyways, this is the meme review. This is your favorite portion of the show. You literally watch the whole show just to get to the meme reviews. Tag me in the memes on Twitter at simplybitcointv, or drop them in our Telegram group and I will scroll and find them. Or tag me in the Telegram group. They might get lost. Anyways, tweet to the bullets. Memes are the artillery. As you can tell, we are in an information war. Continue to get the calls of action out there. Continue to humor your friends. Continue to ridicule the corporate press. Anyways, this first meme is by the BTC therapist, and he goes, never too late to stack sats. And before we get into this one, therapist, a little bearish on this one, but we got, I forget, what's this guy's name again? Kramer from, I forget the show now. I'm blanking. Yeah, there we go. He said, me reminding everyone I was right in 2030 when Bitcoin is $1 million. Super bearish. And it's Kramer. Remember me with the Bitcoin logo. Okay, this next one is by tip_NZ, and there's nothing here. And we got a, Bitcoin couple here. We got, they're in love and they're in the desert. They're looking at the sky, and it goes, the answer is written in the stars. Bitcoin is going up forever.
What's the second best? There is no second best.
Okay, this next one is by RD_BTC, and he says, release the big dogs, #inflation. And we got the classic Doge, the soy Doge and the buff Doge, and we got the little baby soy Doge, and it goes, interest rates in 2020, it's all small. And then a bigger buffer Doge, and it goes, interest rates in 2023. And then an ultra buff Giga Chad Doge dog over here with laser eyes, and goes, what interest rates need to be to have any effect on inflation? Yes. Okay, this next meme is by Joe Burnett, aka at what's it? I Capital, and he goes, money cannot be printed forever. Buy Bitcoin, the only asset humans can't make more of. And we got this picture here of the White House and fiat dollars.
That's the Capitol.
Up. Oh, Capitol, whatever. You know, I'm not good with politics. Capitol building with fiat dollars stacking up. About to cover it all. And this next one is Bitcoin Sapiens. And we got this AI generated monster with the Bitcoin logo in front of it. And it goes, Bitcoin has the unique opportunity to starve the beast. And it's credited to Lady Anarchy. Ooh. Next meme. Shouts out to the boys over at the having party. I think this is Big Sean. And he goes, Barber, what do you want? And he goes, me. Give me that Bitcoin adoption from 2009 to 2040. Barber says, say no more, fam. And we got this, you know, parabolic line in his head. It's going up forever. Okay, and this last meme is by Lana D BTC, and it goes, I've seen this turn people mad. And we got the classic template of the guy reading the book, and we have someone reading a book titled How to Get More Bitcoin, and he's open on the page. Work. The only way to get more Bitcoin is to work, and he is in tears because everyone wants something for free. Anyways, drop your meme review score in the chat over there, over on that side, as we cover ours live. My meme review score for today, I don't know if I've done this. Maybe it's been a while since I've done this one, but Grokking Bitcoin, the book. And if I have done this book, then let's go page 179 of Grokking Bitcoin.
Okay. All right. What is on page 179?
It says lightweight wallets.
Okay.
Chapter
Anyways,
6,
I'm going to give it this Where's Satoshi 2023 Miami edition. Scan the QR code. I don't know where it takes you, but I think I got this at the Bitcoin conference. Anyways, Zach, what would you give those memes?
Let's see. I got this this Bitcoin Magazine Assange issue, which is pretty good. I thought those memes were pretty. I like the haircut one. I think that was the best. Barber.
That was top notch. I like that one. That was hilarious. Shout out to Big Sean. That was definitely Big Sean.
That's definitely Big Sean.
Anyways, so first score is from Skip down the road, 6 out of 10 for all memes, right? It's back to the OG scores. And we got Rave Elevator. I score the memes, Blue Gel O shots at the pool.
Hey, that sounds like a good weekend.
We got Jose S. Bam. I score the memes, a parabolic passport adoption. Bullish AF.
You're bullish.
All right. Are we buzzing it, Opti?
I guess so.
Right,
we didn't run out of scores. We ran out of the buzzer.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. I also one more score. No, they're coming in late. They're delayed, Opti. That's what's going on. Old Man Bills, I score it as good as storing my seed phrase on the cloud. Jesus, bro. Elaine, normies begin to stack as orb smashing becomes a new thing. And then another savage score, Keefe. I give the memes to empty batteries from the Founders Edition passport. I don't know what that means, but Opti's. Can I say that, Opti? Or am I?
I didn't. I avoided it yesterday.
Okay, all right. I'm not saying that. Anyways, all right.
We're censoring, bro.
Now it's the buzzer, and the meme review is always chaos. Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on Simply Bitcoin Live. We really appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to our guest Zach from Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us today. And so why don't you tell everybody where they could find you on the interwebs and where they could buy a passport?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me here. We're at foundationdevices.com or Foundation DVCS on Twitter, and I'm just Zach Herbert on Twitter.
Awesome. All right, Zach, thank you so much for joining us. Hang out backstage for a second while we wrap up the show. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into Simply Bitcoin Live. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. If you feel like we provided you value, consider subscribing. But the number one thing you can do to push the peaceful Bitcoin revolution forward is share this content. In fact, share all Bitcoin content. Get it out there. Don't share shitcoin content. That's counterproductive. There's an after party going down. Opti's holding a Twitter Spaces with our friends over at Swan Bitcoin. Best place to build your Bitcoin stack. And you could just go. You could find the Swan handle. You could find the Simply handle. Jump into the Spaces. And Opti's going to be holding down until 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, enjoy your weekend. And we'll see you tomorrow for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. Peace out, y'all.